I've been replaying some of the Life is Strange games since the release of Double Exposure, as you guys seem to like that. So now we're at True Colours. I absolutely adored True Colours when it released. I fell in love with Haven. I thought Alex was a great character. It was a very cosy game and one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't want to waste too much of your time here for the intro, so let's just get into why Life is Strange True Colours is actually good. So, at the heart of True Colours is Alex, who is moving to Haven to reunite with her brother. I love Alex. She's one of those characters you can't help but root for because of her history and the way that she handles her pain. She spent her life grappling with trauma, bouncing through the foster care system after losing her parents, and being separated from her brother Gabe. These experiences define her early years as someone who has been let down by the world over and over again. Yet, when you see her, she's not embittered or cynical in the way that you might expect. Instead, she's quietly resilient, always holding on to the hope of belonging somewhere and finding a sense of family. That quiet strength combined with her vulnerability makes it easy for you to want her to succeed. Her journey doesn't feel abstract, it feels personal, as if you're rooting for someone you know to finally find peace and happiness. What makes Alex's story so compelling is how her power of emotional empathy is inseparably tied to her character. While her ability to sense and manipulate emotions may not seem as cool as time travel or telekinesis, it's uniquely suited to someone like Alex. She's someone who has always been hyper aware of the moods and feelings of those around her, probably a survival mechanism developed during her difficult upbringing. Her gift feels less like a superpower and more like an exaggerated version of the sensitivity she's always had. It's also a double-edged sword. While it allows her to help others in profound ways, it also forces her to bear the emotional weight of everyone around her, whether she wants to or not. For someone who's already struggling with her own trauma, this makes her journey even more difficult. You realise that her power, far from being liberating, often feels like another burden that she has to carry. The tragedy of Alex's character lies in how much pain she endures simply by existing. Her story revolves around trying to process her own unresolved grief, whilst being drawn into the emotional turmoil of others. She's forced to relive moments of anguish, like the death of her brother Gabe at the start of the game, in excruciating detail because of her gift. And yet, she doesn't close herself off. Instead, she leans into the pain and uses it as a way to connect with others, helping people like Steph and Ryan confront their own struggles and grief. This willingness to be vulnerable and empathetic, despite everything she's been through, is what makes Alex truly admirable. She could very easily choose isolation and no one would blame her, but she doesn't. That choice, to keep trying, to keep connecting, is what makes her both relatable and heroic in a quiet way. You might find her power less exciting compared to others in the Life is Strange series, but that's because it's not designed to be flashy. It's designed to fit Alex. Her story isn't about grand, world-changing events. It's a solitary story. It's about finding a home, a family, and a place where she can feel safe being herself. The understated nature of her arc might make her seem less remarkable at first glance, but the more you sit with her story, the more you realise how much depth it has. Alex is a character who thrives not through spectacle, but through connection, and that makes her tragedy and her eventual triumph all the more resonant. But Alex is of course not the only character in the game. The supporting cast of Life is Strange True Colours is essential to the game's emotional resonance, and each character contributes meaningfully to Alex's journey, though their depth varies. The strength of these characters lies in how their individual struggles and personalities mirror the themes of grief, healing, and human connection that define the game. Gabe's role in the story is pivotal, even though his death occurs early on. He's more than just a plot device, his character is fleshed out through flashbacks, Alex's memories, and the way others in Haven Springs speak about him after he's gone. Gabe is charismatic and warm, a figure who embodies the stability and belonging that Alex has been seeking her whole life. His loss is deeply felt not just by Alex, but by the entire town, and this shared grief becomes a major driving force for the narrative. What makes Gabe so effective as a character is that he feels like a genuine, loving older brother, one who carried his own baggage, yet managed to create a new life for himself. His absence leaves a hole that drives much of Alex's emotional growth and the game's exploration of loss. Steph is arguably the strongest supporting character and a fan favourite for good reason. She's charismatic, witty, and unapologetically herself. but she's also layered with her own vulnerabilities. A returning character from Before the Storm, pretty mad by the way, Steph's passion for music makes her feel incredibly real. Her authenticity and chemistry with Alex elevate her beyond being just another love interest. She feels like a fully realised person, with her own goals and insecurities, something that I don't feel like could be said for the romance characters in Double Exposure. Charlotte is one of the most tragic and nuanced characters in the game. As a single mother grappling with the sudden loss of her partner Gabe, she embodies raw, unfiltered grief. Her struggles with balancing her own pain while being a mother to Ethan are heart-wrenching, and her conflict of whether to suppress her emotions or confront them head-on is one of the game's most striking moments. The decision to take away her anger or leave her to process it herself highlights the complexity of her character. While she's not as prominent later in the story, her early chapters leave a lasting impression, showing how grief manifests differently in different people. Jed begins as a fatherly, almost archetypical small-town figure, warm, reliable and protective. However, as the story unfolds, his darker side is revealed, making him one of the most compelling characters in the game. The revelation of his role in Gabe's death and the mining disaster adds a layer of betrayal and complexity that challenges Alex and you to reconsider everything you thought about him. Jed's arc demonstrates how guilt and self-preservation can drive even the most seemingly virtuous people to commit devastating acts, and this makes him a standout antagonist once the chips are down. The broader cast of Haven Springs also deserves mention. The other characters may not receive as much screen time, but they each have their own struggles that make the town feel alive. These characters may not take centre stage, but their stories enrich the world and make Haven feel like a real community. The supporting cast of True Colours is a definite strength of the game, even if some characters resonate more deeply than others. Gabe, Steph and Jed stand out for their narrative weight, while others like Charlotte and Ryan provide key emotional anchors. The town's minor characters round out the cast, creating a sense of place that feels warm and believable. Where the game stumbles slightly is in how some characters, particularly Charlotte and Riley, are underutilised in later chapters. Still, the emotional depth and relatability of the core cast make them integral to Alex's journey and the game's overall impact. Their stories, much like Alex's, are about the quiet personal battles we all face, and that makes them feel authentic, even in a supernatural world. And then we have my favourite character of the whole game, Haven Springs itself. Bang, plot twist. Haven serves as an ideal setting because it embodies the core themes of belonging, healing and connection that define Alex's journey. The small, picturesque town surrounded by mountains and filled with a close-knit community offers a cosy, almost idyllic atmosphere. For Alex, someone who has spent her life feeling isolated and uprooted, Haven represents not just a place, but the possibility of finding a home and a family, something she has longed for but never truly experienced. The setting works on multiple levels, both as a contrast to her internal struggles and as a reflection of the game's themes. From the moment Alex arrives, Haven feels welcoming in a way that immediately contrasts with her turbulent past. The town is filled with vibrant colours, natural beauty, and charming architecture that create a sense of warmth. The cosy atmosphere is enhanced by the local businesses like the record store, the bar, and the flower shop, which all feel distinctly personal and intimate. These locations aren't just backdrops, they're extensions of the people who live there, like Steph's love for music in the record store, or Eleanor's nurturing nature reflected in the flower shop. This level of detail makes Haven feel really welcoming, as if Alex has finally stumbled into a place that might actually care about her. For Alex, Haven's intimacy is both appealing and intimidating. It represents the stability and belonging she has craved her whole life, but it also comes with the fear of vulnerability. The town's tight-knit community is the opposite of the transient foster system that she grew up in, where connections were fleeting and trust was dangerous. In Haven, the broader townsfolk offer Alex a chance to open up and be a part of something meaningful. This dichotomy between her past and her potential future is embodied in the town itself, which feels like a safe haven she's never had but always wanted. Haven Springs also stands in sharp contrast to the setting of the previous game Life is Strange 2, which emphasises transience, impermanence, and the struggle to find a sense of place. In Life is Strange 2, you follow Sean and Daniel on a journey across the American West, constantly on the move and unable to settle anywhere for too long. The landscapes in that game are often harsh, barren and isolating, reflecting the brothers' status as fugitives and outsiders. Every stop on their journey feels temporary, with no real hope of stability. Haven Springs flips this dynamic entirely. It is a single, rooted location that exudes warmth and permanence. Where Life is Strange 2 explores the pain of being unwelcome or on the run, True Colours focuses on what it means to be accepted and to belong. This shift in tone and setting emphasises the difference between the two games' protagonists. While Sean and Daniel's journey was about survival and self-reliance, Alex's story is about healing and finding community. In a way, the cosy atmosphere of Haven is something that we as the player had been searching for throughout the entirety of Life is Strange 2. Whether this was intentional or not is entirely up for debate, but I do think it's still worth noting that the setting of Haven serves as a thematic follow-up to that game in a sense. Ultimately, Haven succeeds as a setting because it's more than just a beautiful backdrop, which it absolutely is, but it's an active part of Alex's story. The warmth and charm represent everything she's been missing in her life, offering her a chance to belong and to heal. At the same time, its underlying struggles and secrets reflect her own need to confront her pain and move forward. The contrast with the harsh settings of Life is Strange 2 only strengthens Haven's role, in my opinion.
Hi everyone, this is me. Look how cool I am. Just wanted to take a quick break from the video to say that if you're enjoying the content, then to please check out some of the other videos on the channel if they look interesting to you. You'd be doing yourself a favour if you really think about it. I even have a playlist with some of my best videos, so they're easy viewing. Thanks guys, back to the video.
But with all of that window dressing out of the way, it's time to get into the meat and bones of any story-driven game, the plot itself. The mystery surrounds Alex's brother Gabe's sudden death, and is an integral part of the story structure. Whilst it provides an engaging framework for Alex's journey, I do think it is the weakest mystery in the Life is Strange series, due to its predictability and limited complexity. Despite its flaws, the mystery does succeed in tying together the game's themes, but it lacks the twists and narrative tension that defined earlier entries. At its core, the mystery of Gabe's death is deeply personal, which makes it emotionally compelling. Gabe is a character you grow to care about in a really short amount of time, and his sudden death creates an immediate investment in uncovering the truth. The questions surrounding the Typhon mining explosion, whether it was an accident or a deliberate cover-up, add stakes not just for Alex but for all of Haven. This dual focus on personal grief and corporate wrongdoing ensures the mystery feels grounded and relevant. The investigation itself is structured in a way that allows you to feel actively involved. Alex's power plays a key role in uncovering hidden emotions and memories, giving her an unconventional edge as she pieces together elements of truth. The use of Alex's power to delve into the psyches of others during critical moments is an innovative twist on the detective trope, tying the mystery to her personal growth. Additionally, the game excels at creating an atmosphere of unease as Alex inches closer to the truth. Jed's betrayal is a standout moment that reframes his kind fatherly demeanour in chilling terms. The transition with his warm hospitality to the cold reality of his culpability is one of the game's most effective narrative shifts. Even if the mystery itself isn't shocking, the emotional beats are still powerful. Where the mystery falters though is in its predictability. From early in the game, Typhon Mining is framed as the obvious villain, and their role in covering up dangerous practices and manipulating the town is heavily telegraphed. This isn't a red herring, this is just what happens. Jed's involvement, while emotionally impactful as I just mentioned, it doesn't come as a complete surprise either. As one of the most prominent and seemingly trustworthy characters, Jed naturally fits the archetype of a hidden antagonist. By the time Alex confronts him in the game's climax, many players will have already guessed his role in Gabe's death and the cover-up. I know I certainly did. Hell, it's even heavily implied during the LARP section.
You all along!
You fools! You have collected the jewels I need and brought them right to me!
Unlike earlier games in the series, such as the shocking reveal of Mr. Jefferson's true nature in the original game, or the layered exploration of moral ambiguity in the second game,
Repent! I don't believe you anymore!
True Colours opts for a more straightforward approach. There are no major twists or moments that subvert your expectations, which makes the resolution feel less impactful. Typhon's greed and Jed's guilt are effective thematically, but they lack the narrative complexity that could elevate the story to higher heights. Another issue with the mystery is its relatively small scale. While the personal stakes for Alex are high, the larger conflict with Typhon Mining feels underdeveloped. the company is depicted as a faceless villain with little nuance, and there's no deeper exploration of the systemic issues that might make their actions more interesting. Unlike Sean and Daniel's struggles with the justice system and societal prejudice in Life is Strange 2, or Max's confrontation with abuse of power in Arcadia Bay, Typhon feels like a generic antagonist. The lack of moral ambiguity reduces the tension and limits the narrative depth. It's not as though they're a company that were trying to do the right thing and made a mistake, that they're just faceless corporation bad, grr. Similarly, the investigation itself is somewhat shallow. Whilst Alex's power adds a unique twist, the actual process of uncovering evidence is fairly linear. The game doesn't provide much room for player-driven discovery or interpretation, which does make the mystery feel less engaging on a gameplay level. It's more of a vehicle for the story than a truly interactive mechanic. Despite the story's weaknesses though, the mystery in True Colours works because of its emotional weight. The story isn't really about the Typhon cover-up as much as I've criticised it, it's about Alex coming to terms with her grief, finding her voice, and standing up for what she believes in. The resolution, while predictable, allows Alex to confront Jed in a climactic moment of catharsis. The scene where she speaks her truth to the town encapsulates the game's themes of resilience and connection. In this way, the mystery serves as a framework for Alex's personal growth, rather than the central focus of the narrative. The mystery of True Colours is one that was crafted with the purpose of propping up its characters. Character-driven stories are my favourite kind, they're my bread and butter, because I'm deeply fascinated by character development and things of that ilk. But crafting a story like this carries risk. If your players don't fall in love with your characters, then they won't care that the mystery doesn't stand up on its own. The mystery of True Colours serves its thematic purpose to develop Alex as a character. That is what it was trying to do, and that is exactly what it did. But if you prefer more epical narratives such as the first game, where there's missing teenagers, serial killers and outlandish powers, then True Colours will feel underwhelming. But for me, I appreciated everything Life is Strange True Colours was doing, and I think it worked exactly as intended. What it was doing may not be what you wanted it to do, but it did what it was trying to do incredibly well, and it resonated with me. When I did my Life is Strange ranking following the release of Double Exposure, I ranked True Colours pretty high, and that's because I think it's actually good. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I hope that you did enjoy it. If you did, then please consider leaving a like, as that would really help me out. And if you want to see more videos from me, then feel free to subscribe, as I upload every single week. But for now, that is all. Have a nice day, and goodbye.
I'm high as a kite.